What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions. Welcome out, all of you fellow decoders around the world, wherever you may be. My name is Logan, and this, of course, is Decode Your Reality. And today we're going to be breaking down and decoding scripted reality. The scripted reality decoded. Are we living in a scripted reality? And what does that mean? Folks, just when I didn't think I could come out with another gem, here's this one. This one is going to leave you very satisfied at the end of this. You will find a lot of truth bombs in this. You're going to see some connections that will completely blow your mind and support what I've been saying for many years now, that we live inside of a scripted reality and mankind is being used. To what degree, I don't know. And it really started, like I was creating my intro, which is what you saw, a couple snippets. And I'm like, what song do I want to play? And instantly this song popped into my head, Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine. Love this album. And this is the album cover right here. Again, folks, this is the song that popped into my head. Here's the album cover. So I'm like, I'll just do a little brief decode on that. Why not? Right? And I'm considering decoding this band, but here's the album here. Killing in the Name. The length of the album, the clues here now, is that it's 52 minutes long. If you've been paying attention, 52 means prison planet, the element tellurium, which means earth. And then 55 is tied to the word predestination. 52 and 55 for raging against the machine. What is the machine? It's the simulated reality that you're not going to change. It's already scripted. It's already written out. You're just being a little actor on the world stage. And it's kind of funny because the lead singer of this band's name is Zach. And what other Zach do you know that really rages against the machine? It's kind of funny, right? I think so. But, the big clues, this song came out on November 2nd. November 2nd is the 306th and 307th day of the year, leaving 59 days until the end of the day. What's 59? The game of life. That's what the number 59 is. I'm going to be showing that. But I thought was really fascinating is, the artwork they chose. Right here, this is the artwork they chose, the original photograph. This is a Buddhist monk lighting himself on fire in Saigon in 1963. About Buddhism. Imagine doing this. But that's what they chose for the artwork, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look at that a little bit. How's it tied to the song? Well, it was this guy right here, the Buddhist monk, who set himself ablaze. And this was in 1963. This right here, 1963. So the connection was going to numberempire.com, and 307 is the 63rd prime number. And I go back to this, November 2nd, which is the day this song, Killing in the Name, came out. 306th, 307th day of the year. The album came out on November 3rd. The album. So November 3rd is going to actually be in the common year, is going to be the 307th day of the year. And you mean to tell me they pick this album, for the album cover, they pick it from this guy right here, and it was photographed in 1963, and there it is. Do you think that the people of Rage Against the Machine, Tom and Zach and those guys, do you think they were sitting down with all these layers before they created their album cover and what they chose and the day they released it to make sure that this was in sync like this? Or perhaps the better alternative is that mankind's being used. That's how come these numbers are exactly the way this is right here, and why they chose this as their album cover, and why it happened in 1963. Because the album was released on the 307th day of the year, and it's the 63rd prime number. That's just starting it out, folks. Just starting this out. Bam! Right there. Showing you the scripted reality. Rage Against the Machine. So how about the song that I chose? Killing in the Name is the title. 53. Tied to the element iodine. It's one half of the I am. I am that I am. And then the other element that's tied to the 53 is chromium, coming from the Greek word chroma, which means color. Light being slowed down. It to me is indicating it's whatever created this reality, the I, comes down here and becomes man through the color spectrum. Light slowed down into physical matter. I mean, look at the icon they chose, Royal Society of Chemistry, to represent chromium. A skull with wings. You just put two and two together, folks, you can start to see how this reality is completely scripted. Killing in the Name, 53. Machine equals 24. I just keep going and going. And then how about this ridiculous sync? Here's the Buddhist monk's name in numerology, and it's a direct match to the words scripted reality, both 47. So maybe this guy's trying to mock you. Maybe he's sitting down with Chaldean numerology as a Buddhist monk up in the mountains somewhere in 1963, and he created this name because he knew that scripted reality equals 47, and he knew this because he was doing a lot of meditation. Come on, folks, that's my dry ass humor. That's ridiculous to think that. No, this guy right here is being used. It's not a bad thing, because people think it's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just the way this game works. So, starting off with a bang, just with that right there, with the opening song, and oh man, that's nothing though. Wait till you see what I got during this presentation. So are we, the big question is, are we living inside of a scripted movie? Are we? You got to make that determination. It's all coming out now. You're starting to see it. Not just me saying it, a lot of other people. So here's the beginning point. Just to continue with the intro. I've been showing this many times. Lights, camera. This is what Hollywood does before they roll the movie. Lights, camera, action. You're in a movie, folks. That's what we're in. You're in the Truman Show. And it's this 56. And when we continue on to connect more dots, because we need more than just numerology. You can't just use numerology and think you got it all figured out. This is basic decoding, but we want to go further. Now we want to bring alchemy into this to get the clues. And this element right here, barium, is the 56th element. This one is all about going down. Barium is, if you study barium, it means you're swallowing something. It's light going down into the hole. And the original spelling of it in the Greek, through the Greek numerology now, getting as close to the source as we can, is a 64. And we go right back to alchemy and we get the GD element, the God element, the gadolinium. And you get to the fish story with the Christ. How many fish with the Christ? 153. The average is 157. This element has many isotopes. And this is why this checkerboard floor, when you see it in movies, it doesn't mean it's evil, folks. It doesn't mean you should say, oh, there's the Masonic, Luciferian, satanic checkerboard. Folks, that's out of the window. That doesn't make sense anymore. Okay? It means you're in a movie. It means duality. It means the movie. That's what it means. 64. If you check out some of the 64-star tetrahedron and some of these polygonal shapes, man, you start to get into sacred geometry. But this is just the movie right here. The 56 means Bari in the movie. 137 is the 33rd prime number. So many ways you can continue. It's the fine structure constant. So many ways you can keep going down and connecting things with this right here. So I just wanted to really quickly show you now we bring math into this. And you get the 56. Where does 56 appear in the string of pi and the string of phi? The golden ratio. Well, 74 occupies digits 56 and 57. 57 is going to be a very big number as well, tied to Lucifer, the light bringer, bringing you the movie. But 74 is the digit, or 7 is the digit that occupies digit 56 in the string of pi. And then 3 is the digit that occupies the 56 digit in the string of the golden ratio. Now you're going to get 73, and 7.3 is the pH of our blood. It's the pH of our blood, 7.3. If you do it in the mirror, it's 37. 37 is tied to eye in the sky. The all-seeing eye, the eye of providence. But when you do it through the tandem numbers, it's 56 and 57, it's 74, and it's this element called wolfram, the wolf. Feed the wolf. You're going to see this more as we go through this presentation. And then through the string of phi, the golden ratio, coming from light in nature, it's tied to the word simulation. Simulation. That's what this is tied to. And this element, bromine. What's up, bro? That's kind of the joke. Bromine. And 56 and 57 is going to give you 113, which is the 30th prime number tied to the demiurge. We're going to get into that. So I wanted to bring in the primes. I have a Discord coming out, a course coming out on a live podcast on August 16th. If you can make it, great. It's going to be recorded, so don't worry if you can't. But it's going to be on how to use the primes in numerology, how to use the primes through mathematics. This is advanced decoding. If you want to go past the simple sign and basic decoding of connecting words to numbers, well, this is going to be a course for you. But this is how powerful the primes are. They're standalone numbers, divisible only by itself. 547, lights, camera, action, besides the 56. There's that 47 again, 547. 5 means manifestations. It means the sun. And it's not only just 547, it's the 101st prime number. There's the portal. Those of you who've been paying attention, the 101. And then you go into more prime numbers, because 101 becomes the 26th prime number, which is tied to the element iron, which is in our blood. So when you come down and become man, you get an avatar. You get blood pumping through you. And 26 is tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, the ancient Israelite God of the Bible. 26 through the original numerology of the spelling of it. But really the big takeaway is it's tied to this element called ruthenium. And it's got the average weight is 101. So this is directly tied to this 101 in the 547. It's the element number 44. You can get into the musical theory and, 440. Then you get to the 432, but why 440? And the big takeaway for this was the university that was used to discover this element in Estonia called Tartu. This is where this element was discovered. Here's a picture of it. I believe this is the picture of it at night. But look at the latitude, longitude of this university. 58 degrees north, 26 degrees east. There's the 26. You see how ridiculously scripted this is? It was supposed to get discovered here because of these connections. And then 58 is tied to the word puppet master. You see? Puppet master is 58. And you can even get into this, Adam and Eve, 26. And it's not male or female, it's the atom and the electrons. This is how scripted our reality is, folks. Just with the intro right there. That was the intro. So let's get into the topics of conversation. Wait, I'm going to blow you guys away. You guys and gals, just get strapped in. Have fun with this, man. So we did the intro. Number 1, I'm going to show you some real life examples of this scripted reality. Number 2, the title itself, scripted reality. Number 3, the actor, which is what we all are. Number 4, are we playing God? Number 5, New York. And then number 6, Sesame Street. You remember Sesame Street? I used to watch it when I was a little kid growing up. What does that got to do with any of this? Because it's scripted as well. So these are the topics of conversation. Let's get into the first one now, called real life. I'm going to show you some real life examples from some of the decodes that I've been doing over the years, showing you how scripted this reality is. Mankind just following the script. Here's the moon landing. Check this decode out if you want. Came out with this one a couple years ago. This is the quote from Neil. That's one small step for a man, one giant leap for mankind. Bam, there's the freaking script. 183. And you go right back to that 74 and tungsten and the feed the wolf. It's the big W and the wolf tied to Jesus and Lucifer. The 74. And I showed this with the lights, camera, action right here. There it is in the string of pi where the 56 is. You see? And people say, oh, we never went to the moon. It was all filmed. And yeah, well, maybe so, but you're in a movie. It's just a fractal down. The movie screen that you watch is a fractal down, and then we're in a movie. And then there's a fractal above us. Something's watching us. We're a movie. We're entertainment. It just keeps going, folks. Where does it end? I don't know. But this is, if you think they're sitting down and doing this before they do all this kind of stuff, come on, folks. You think they're just sitting down with Chaldean numerology and like, oh yeah, we got to make sure you say this and read it. Make sure you memorize it, because you got to get it to 183 to match tungsten so we know it's the movie. Anyway, that's again my dry humor. How about this famous fast food restaurant known around the world, the biggest of all time, I believe, McDonald's. I decoded this in my Superstar Part 3 decoding the sun. The arch is the sun. And here's the first original McDonald's location in San Bernardino, California. Here's the latitude, longitude. 34 degrees north, 117 degrees west, and look at what you have right there. A match to the actual title of the restaurant. McDonald's, 34. 34. What about that 117? Well, you just go to the actual street address and you just do the numerology of the full street address of where that location's at. And then you bring it into the string of the golden ratio. Why the golden ratio? Because we're talking about the sun, the arches, the yellow arch. That's why it's yellow. So you bring it into the string of the golden ratio, and the total numerology output of the total address of where the first location of McDonald's is 175, which is found at the 117th decimal digit, and there makes up the longitude of where this location's at. Bam! So you get McDonald's 34 matching the latitude, then you get the 117 matching the longitude. Scripted reality, folks. What about this one right here? Jack in the Box off my Bloodline decode. I actually did a decode on Jack in the Box. One of my favorite ones, but not a lot of people watched it. But it's a restaurant in the United States. But the full address of Jack in the Box is a 155, bringing it into the string of pi. 155 is found at the 314th decimal digit. So what does this mean? Because we're all stuck in the box. That's the humor, folks. You and we're Jack, and if you're female, you're going to be Jill. That's why there's a nursery rhyme with that. We're stuck in the box. The box is the square. The square cubes the circle. Squaring the circle. The cube does that. The box. Pandora's box. And the circle is pi. That's what all this stuff means, ladies and gentlemen. How about this right here? The longest recorded home run ever hit in baseball. This was in AAA by Joey Meyer of the Denver Zephyrs. Haven't had a lot of views on this, but man, if you go watch this one, I showed you all how it's scripted. This guy would have to be in on the conspiracy if you think that mankind's doing it. 582 feet. It happened on June 2nd, which is the 153rd day of the year, going right back to the television screen and the gadolinium. Remember, gadolinium in numerology equals 35, which is a match of simulation, which is 35. And there's the fish. Fish is 17, life is 17, matrix is 17. So go check this one out. Go check out the longest home run hit. And then there's this one right here. I have a topic called New York, which is why I'm showing this. I'm not going to say a few words, but we all know this when this happened. Big event. But, the big takeaway was the day it happened and then the card that was associated with it. Here it is, the card of illumination on that day. So just so we can be very crystal clear, you go to the boilerplate chart. Here it is for the cards of illumination. And, here are the 12 months running. Here's this September. We come down to the row 11, and there it is. It's the King of Clubs. Just so we can be very crystal clear with this. So this is the card that was linked to it on the day it happened. And then the tarot, getting the picture of it, it's the King of Wands, the King of Air, the King of the mental realm. But the big takeaway is it's the 26th card in the deck. And then we go to this right here, the first pitch, the ceremony, the Yankees versus the Mets on the 2021 year on 9/11. Look at what jerseys they're wearing, folks. Now, this is either a sick joke or Bobby Valentine or Joe Torre are all in on it. There's the 26. On the ceremony, first pitch, these guys threw it out. And this is the day it happened on. This is the card 26. Scripted reality. You should check out this one as well. Showed this, how this was completely scripted. This is just one slide of that. How about this guy right here getting into some music? Prince. His full name, 74. Going back to that lights, camera, action. 56. Also tied to iron, because iron does have an atomic weight of 56. One of its isotopes is 56. One of its most stable isotopes is 56. So it's going to be tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. It's interesting because Prince was a Jehovah's Witness for a very long time. The Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is Jehovah. It's the same thing. So is this just the Yod coming down and becoming man or woman? Or is it controlling us remotely? Does it write the script and you got to play it your part? Is that what it means? What about this right here? How about the emergency dialing number for the United States? The 911 emergency decoded. How ridiculously scripted this was and how ridiculously scripted these people were. On February 16th, the first 911 call was made in Alabama. And February 16th is the 47th day of the year. You go right back to this right here, the Tetragrammaton, which is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. Okay? And this in numerology is 26. Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh is 26 in numerology. 26. 26 card of when this happened. Go check out Isaiah 45 verses 7. These people are being used, folks. This is all about getting the energy of people's emergencies, people getting killed, people getting kidnapped, people getting this and that, all that energy. And it's the 216, which is the 345 is the divine triangle, if you get into that kind of stuff as well. And then I think I have this last slide right here, how ridiculously coded and scripted these two people are in real life, not even just the movie. I decoded The Matrix 4, The White Rabbit. Resurrections is what I called it. Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Charles Reeves playing Trinity and Neo. I broke down their birth cities. Carrie-Anne Moss, Burnaby, Canada. Keanu Charles Reeves, Beirut. And then I added up their latitude, longitudes. The number I got was 241. 241, and then when you go to the next slide right here, 241 is the 53rd prime number, going right back to the I am that I am. You see, folks, these people aren't trying to mock you or screw you over. They're just actors and actresses playing out their parts. That's what they're doing. This guy owns a motorcycle company. But I can promise you, they're not sitting down, even the Wachowskis, they're not sitting down choosing these, they're not casting these actors based upon what I'm showing you here. No freaking way. This is a scripted reality, ladies and gentlemen. That's what this is. These people were supposed to play out this part. They were supposed to be born in these cities because we're talking about predestination. They were supposed to get casted for the movie. There's just so many layers. And if you haven't checked out my White Rabbit Resurrection Decoded, please check it out. A larger amount of you watched it. Thanks for your support. So really it comes down to this right here. I mean, this is like my final answer right now. Is that we're being used, and it's, as above, so below is the 58, Puppet Masters 58. The 58th card in the tarot is the Trapped and Limited card. One of the reasons why I feel like I'm supposed to be showing all of you that this is my birth card. And then the element that carries the 58 is Cerium, the god of agriculture, which is tied to the asteroid series. And the average is 140. This is 141, showing pi. This is the as above, so below is running pi, squaring the circle. Okay? And just maybe it comes down here and becomes man or woman. And that's it. And if not, it's controlling us remotely. So let's get into now the second topic called scripted reality, the title of this decode. If you weren't enamored then, that was just I'm just getting warmed up. But let's get into this scripted reality now. I'm going to break it down like you've never seen before. I'm going to use many ciphers because some people think, oh, you're just using Chaldean. I'm going to show you multiple ones to show you how it doesn't matter. It's all going to tell you the same story. Scripted reality 47, Tetragrammaton 47. Remember the guy that lit himself on fire in 1963? His name was 47. It's tied to the song I chose that downloaded in my mind before I started this decode, randomly. Why? Because I'm being used. Totally fine with it, folks. Surrender to the fact that I'm under the guise of some kind of code, and it keeps showing up in my life. Just got to have fun with this. So when you break down scripted and reality, it's the 30 and the 17. So it's tied to these heavy hitter words right here. Demiurge, which is what the Gnostics called the god of this reality. The word Jehovah equals 30. The word Santa Claus equals 30. Santa Claus comes down the chimney, coming down into the hole. Jesus of Nazareth. Nazareth is 30. Zero Dark 30. You know that movie. And then this right here. The Matrix. The Matrix. The word life equals 17. The word fish equals 17. The word gold, which is what we're all being harvested for, equals 17. 17 is the seventh prime number. We have 7 chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 days of the week. Scripted reality. What about when we bring the cards in to tell their side of the story, to give us more layers to define this reality? It's the 4 of diamonds and 4 of clubs. Bring them together. What do you got? 44. You go right back over to here. And I showed this right here. And there's the 44, tied to the primes of lights, camera, action. It's ruthenium. 44 is tied to the words gold currency. But it's the 4 of diamonds and the 4 of clubs. And then the big gem is when you bring the tarot into this to get the pictures. We think in pictures. That's how valuable the tarot is to describe and narrate this world that we live in. So the scripted reality, it's the 4 of pentacles from the 4 of diamonds, and then the 4 of wands from the 4 of clubs. So we need to get a definition of what these mean, and here they are. Starting off with the scripted 30 and 4 of pentacles. This is what it means, ladies and gentlemen. Taken off from the website teachmetarot.com. What a great website that is. Please go support her work. But look at what this is. The scripted reality, this part of the script the demiurge runs. Look at what it says. Materialistic, selfish, self-interest, stingy, greed, obsessions, possessions, acquisitions, hanging on to, hoarding. That's what all this means with just scripted. The script. And if you just look at the picture, holding on tight with the city behind you, doesn't want to let go. The Matrix. And then the 17 tied to the 4 of wands. This is tied to the house. The house always wins. It's the stage card. The scripted stage, the theater that we're living in. That's what this means, ladies and gentlemen. This is usually like happy home. Yeah, when you first get here, when you don't know how the programming works. Wish you were here. Wish I was there. You know? So it's just so interesting how beautiful the tarot is, tied to the cards of illumination, tied to numerology, and just using Chaldean. You don't need to deviate away from that. Chaldean is the very special cipher, folks, because of being able to tie into the cards and the tarot and alchemy. Okay? Well, let's keep going. What about alchemy? The 30 and the 17. Scripted reality is zinc and chlorine. Then the comedy comes in. Bam! It's 47. Scripted reality is 47. So, I mean, folks, see what I'm saying? This is how beautiful Chaldean is. I'm not even deviating away from it. Tied to alchemy, tied to the cards, tied to the tarot, telling us how this reality works. Scripted reality. And then when you add these up, these two elements, the atomic masses, you get 100.83, which is just more comedy, because then you get into this show right here that came out off the CW. Great show. I'm rewatching it again slowly. It's the 100 and the story of coming off the ark and reestablishing the earth again after the board was wiped clean from a nuclear war. And it's tied to Alice in Wonderland. This element, fermium, is the 100th element. Fermium is 30. The rabbit card and the 52 cards of the medicine deck, another layer we bring in. Follow the white rabbit, Neo, tied to the moon. Are we just children of the moon? Is this the portal to get in here? Is this the portal to get into this reality? I've been showing it now for a very long time. Santos Bonacci, he thinks they're portals. He says that's how we got here. Many other people, many of you think that's how we got here. But then you have Alice. Alice being 30. Al. You can call me Al. Aluminium. If you watched my decode on illumination. It's Alice character falling down into the hole. And the 100. This is all telling us the story. All found from scripted reality, folks. The demiurge coming down to play out the Matrix, its own game. You'd play out your own game if you created it. Why wouldn't you? And then what about if you added up the 183? You go right back to that 74, Wolfram, feed the wolf, tungsten. Tungsten was used to make light filaments and light bulbs, which is tied to the sun. That's a marker for the sun. The sun ruling over mankind, along with the stars and zodiac signs. There's the 183. This 183 is interesting because it is isotope 184. Science is going to round it up. And then you bring in another cipher. Those of you that like other ciphers, well, it's going to be the same outcome, because scripted reality through the English, 184. Going right back to this 74. And tungsten in the wolf. And the big W. W is the 23rd letter tied to the word crown, blood, and history. Been showing that over and over. Check out my bloodline decoded. What about the Pythagoras and the 1 through 9? The reduction. It's going to tell you it's the Wizard of Oz. It's the 76. Go right back to alchemy, and we get the Wizard of Oz element, osmium. And its average is 190. I'm showing the 187. The reason why I'm showing the 187 is if you go to my, if you go to my illumination decoded, I showed how all of the elements that match up with each respected zodiac signs, including the 13 in the middle, which is aluminium 13. If you add all these up, it's gonna give you 187. That's because whatever comes down and plays out and becomes man, it's from the stars, folks, the celestial bodies. Okay? That's how we incarnate. That's our starting point. That's my final answer at this point. But this is what this is telling you right here, using the 1 through 9 cipher. It's the osmium, the Wizard of Oz. And then when you do the sine and cosine wave, how valuable these are. Look what the sine wave is of 76, 56 and 82. 82 is lead, 56 is lights, camera, action. It's light coming down and becoming lead. That's what the 76 means. If you do the full total amount of it, it's going to be 121. Look at what the total is. All these numbers added up. It's the 47 scripted reality and 74 tungsten, the mirror of that, folks. It doesn't get any more crystal clear than what I'm showing you right here. What about the Francis Bacon using all capital letters? How special this cipher is. properly using this, tying it to the cards of illumination. Thanks to my friend Sharon Jeffers, the great card reader who showed me this kind of stuff a couple of years ago. But if you take the rules of Francis Bacon, what you're going to do, you're going to get your total, and then you're going to subtract 52 until you get below 52. So you're going to have to subtract 52 11 times to get down to the number 2. And then you tie it to whatever card you're going to get to, and it's the 2 of hearts. And the 2 of hearts is going to be tied to this card right here. And this one right here is all about communion, relationships, connection. So this scripted reality, this is saying that you have a contract with God. Maybe you are the God, and you this is yin yang, male female. We have both male and female inside of us. And this right here is tied to the contract. That's what this means. The contract right here from the Francis Bacon. And the relationship that we create as we come down into this reality. Just see, like, just more layers, but the tarot is so beautiful because it gives you the picture, ladies and gentlemen. How about this one right here? I don't even use this one. The Jewish ordinal. Well, it's going to tell you a little bit of a different story, but the same story. It's 174 tied to Lucifer, the numbers of Lucifer. I mean, this is one of Lucifer's elements, lutetium. It doesn't get any more crystal clear than that. Lucifer, Lucy, lutetium. Lutetium is 33 in numerology. It's got the 174 right there, but it's the 71st element. 71 is the 20th prime number. So we can bring that into alchemy once again, and we get into calcium. And this tells you that, 99% of our calcium in our body is tied to our bones and teeth. That's why I got the little skeleton there. So Lucifer's the light bringer, bringing you down into the game to transport you down into the game and become an avatar. So that's what this means right here. And I mean, this is kind of nail in the coffin for this one. When you say lutetium and calcium, it's a match to the 174 of scripted reality. You see, folks? Undeniable. We live in a scripted reality, ladies and gentlemen. Mankind's not in control of it. Sorry to disappoint some of you that think that mankind's in control. They're not in control. Nobody gets a hall pass. There are no exceptions. Everybody's doing their job, playing their parts. You may not like some of them, but that's just the way it is. How about this one right here? I think I have 2 more to go for the scripted reality topic. How about this great movie called Groundhog Day? I did a decode on this. So this was a humdinger. This is probably my favorite slide out of the entire presentation, because this clearly told me exactly how this reality works. This movie, Bill Murray waking up in Pennsylvania over and over and over and over. And every time he woke up, the alarm clock started at 6 a.m. And there it was. There it was. Clear as day. So were the creators of Groundhog Day, were they fans of the prime numerology cipher? And that's why they made him wake up at 6 a.m.? They showed the clock at 5:59 and then 6 a.m. And then the alarm come, and then the song that came on was I Got You, Babe by Sonny and Cher. I got you, babe, saying it's got you. You're now in the scripted reality. You ain't getting out until you die. This is very crystal clear, and to me, it's very comical. This was my favorite slide out of the entire bunch. And then how about this one right here, using the satanic, using the numbers 36 and on, 36 tied to the operating system, tied to the sun. Doesn't mean satanic. I'm not sure why Derek actually even named it as this, but I think probably because of the triangular and the 666 tied to the 36. But nonetheless, 666 has nothing to do with Satan. But anyway, scripted reality, 709, right back to numberempire.com, 127th prime number, go right back to alchemy. What is scripted? Well, it's Earth. You see, because that's what this element right here. Prison planet equals 52. And it's this element tellurium, which this is the icon the Royal Society kept. Forget about globe and flat and concave. Just forget about that stuff right now, folks. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in showing you how this reality is scripted. That supersedes anything in my book. But there it is, the bridge. 709 being the 127th prime number. The average weight of tellurium is 127. Tellurium comes from the Latin word tellus, means earth. So we live in a scripted reality. Yeah, it's called Earth. That's it, folks. You're in a scripted reality. And then the last slide for this one right here, scripted is 374, and then the God is 374 in Chaldean. You see? It doesn't matter. I'll find it. You can slice and dice it any way you want. You're going to find it in these. And I showed how many now? 5, 6 different ciphers, all showing you the same thing. We're living in a scripted reality. So now that we know we're in a scripted reality, well, that means that you're in theater and you're the actor. So that brings into the next topic, the actor. And here it is. Bam! Actor 17. Remember, 17 is the 7th prime number, which is leading to the 7 chakras. 17 is tied to the word reality. It's tied to the word matrix. It's tied to the word life. All in the same Chaldean cipher. That's why Chaldean's so special. And then, of course, 17 is tied to the star card, and the star is born. Movie star, rock star. What kind of star are you? Are you creating your own reality through being the star in your own movie, or are you just an extra in somebody else's? Are you just pushing up against the mainstream and you're just a little extra? You'll never get noticed in the mainstream. Just float away. Or are you going to be an actor and be the star in your own movie? So that's right. You can't miss it. It's right there. So William Shakespeare said that we're living a life of theater. And I mean, here's the connection for this guy. This guy was being used. Do you think maybe he was sitting down with Chaldean numerology? The Game of Life 59. And the Game of Life didn't even come out. It came out a long time after William Shakespeare. Maybe the people that created the Game of Life are William Shakespeare fans. Or maybe it's just mankind's being used and they're just following the script. Sure, some people can become conscious. You can pick. I know numerologists that pick different names for themselves. Yeah, sure, you could do that for sure. But now that I have over 300 videos showing, everybody would have to be in on the conspiracy. Every damn person trying to screw you over and mock you would have to be in on it. All the players, all the people in the news and the mainstream, the anchors and the news, everybody have to be in on the conspiracy. You can decode them all and see they're just playing out their script. We're in a life of theater, and we're playing out the game called life. There's the 17, life. Life is actor. You're an actor or an actress, okay? So there's the game of life and the actor, and it's tied to this right here. How very convenient that the number 59 is the 17th prime number, and the game of life's tied to the word actor, tied to the word life, tied to the word matrix. This is a very big deal. And you get into, this right here. Is this what we have? Are we just under a contract? We don't know what the reality looks like beyond this physical. But some people that do Akashic readings, they think you chose your life. Just that whole concept's interesting because did serial killers get to choose theirs? And so on and so forth. But nonetheless, do you just have a contract? The Yaldabaoth equals 29, tied to the archons. I'm be coming out with a decode on the archons. But the contract with God, 59, same to the game of life. Same thing, same outcome. Okay? And where the actors or actresses. So when you bring alchemy into this, 59 and 17, this is a big one. This is really important, so pay attention. It's this 59th element, praseodymium, meaning green twin. And then it's this element, chlorine. And the 35 is its average weight. 35 is tied to the word simulation. No accident there. No accident right there. Check out my bloodline decoded. I showed this is tied to the first blood type. The guy who discovered it. But anyway, how about the sine and cosine wave of the 59? See, this is an important combination right here. Here it is. You got the sine wave, 63 and 77. 63 is tied to light. 77 is tied to the iris of your eye. Light coming down and becoming man or woman. It's all just right here in black and white, but it's, here's the mankind is being used. You do the total amount of the sine and cosine wave, you get the puppet master with 58, and you get 63, which is tied to the operating system, which is light. And you add them up, you get 121. You're going to go right to this element called antimony. Antimony is tied to the all-seeing eye, the icon, the Royal Society of Chemistry. This is the all-seeing eye of Horus. But inside your brain, if you split it in half, there's an all-seeing eye in there. That's your implant. That's what I feel is our implant. The little voice in your head. Do you think you own that? Do you think you're in control of it? Where do these thoughts come from? If you start to pay attention to the little voice in your head, You start to listen to it. Like songs pop in your head out of nowhere. Why did that song pop into your head? Why did somebody pop into your head out of nowhere? Maybe you should call them. Why? Because these are the ideas that I feel is remotely controlling all of us. And this is crystal clear here, for me anyway. But I mean, how about that? 59 tied to the game of life, 17th prime sine and cosine waves, making up pi. How about the tarot cards that make up the 59 and 17, tied to the game of life, tied to the contract with God? Here's the 59th card in the tarot, 59 and 58, depending on if you use the Fool's card 0 and 22 or not. I'm going to show the alternative here in a second, but this is the 9 of swords. I mean, this is the card of the nightmare. The word nightmare equals 30 like demiurge. This is having nightmares. Maybe you know you're coming down to play the game. You're like, oh, shit. I don't want to go down right now. It's the dark age, man. They're just about ready to do the Kali Yuga. I want to wait for the golden age. And then you become the star. 17. We're all the stars. But how do we get here? That's the story. And then the alternative is going to be the 10 of swords. This one right here. This would be the 59th card if you don't use the Fool as card 22. And this to me represents that, you kill the spirit and you become man. You have to relinquish your spirit to come down, maybe like from the spirit realm or the sentient realm or the celestial realm or whatever that looks like. Whatever's ruling over us. Maybe you have an angel that you're tied to. Well, in order to come down and play the game, you got to give up your spiritual self. And this is where you're going to get your fallen angel story from. But this is just the pictures and how ridiculously scripted this is, folks. Just using numbers and real math. This is all part of the script now. Right? And what about the cards of illumination now? We did the tarot. I'm going to convert these into the cards of the tarot, but here are here's the 17th card, and then we don't have a card number 59, but we got to use the rules of Francis Bacon to get to this one. So we take 59 and we subtract the 52 total cards on the deck, and you're going to be left with 7, and that's going to be the 7 of hearts. So the 7 of hearts and the 4 of clubs. What do you have right here? 47, going right back to the tetragrammaton, going right back to scripted reality. Scripted reality being 47. You see? Scripted reality. 47. The game of life and the game of life and actor. 47, folks. Folks, this is the script playing out in multiple facets. Mankind's not doing this. Too many moving parts. Everybody and their mother would have to be in on the conspiracy to try to screw you over and mock you and all the other ridiculous notions people think. And then the mirror of that's going to be the 74, which is going to lead to Tungsten and the Wolf and Feed the Wolf. You can't help it as an actor or actress. You just can't help it. And then when you convert them into the tarot, the 7 of hearts becomes the 7 of cups. And then, of course, we've already shown this. The 4 of clubs becomes the 4 of wands, which is the reality. So this is the big takeaway. To come down here and become man or woman, look at all the choices you have. Maybe this is telling you. Like, I'm a huge fan of Westworld. I'm watching it on HBO right now. Slow. But I'm a fan of the first movie that came out in 1973, where HBO got its ideas from. And the whole basis of Westworld was you got to choose the reality that you wanted to experience, but it's not real. So you go down into Westworld. They bring you to it, and there's a bunch of robots there, and that's the whole basis and premise of Westworld. That's what this card means right here, folks. The 59th card, tied to the number 59, is the 7 of cups. This is all about choices, and the big word is illusions. Illusions. Okay, the illusions. What's interesting, fun fact, Bill Gates, Anthony Fauci, this is both their birth card. Illusions. Okay, illusions. Anyway, folks, what about this right here? These things on the world stage, if you're an actor or actress, these are big events. You know, the Golden Globes, the Oscars, the Academy Awards, they all lead to the sun. The Oscars is the big gold guy right here. What is gold meaning? The sun. Academy is 19. This is the 19th card in the tarot. The Oscars is 19. 19th card in the tarot. The Golden Globe Awards. Golden is the sun. Golden Globe is 64. We go right back to the television screen. Mankind is being used, folks. You can slice it, dice it any way you want. You can try to put it in a little nifty box and try to package it differently. But you're going to continue to come to the same revelations that I'm coming to right here. And the sooner you accept it, to surrender to this, doesn't mean it's a bad thing. Like your life turns to shit. No, your life actually gets better once you figure out you're in a big movie, because you stop giving other people's energy to their movie. Movie's going to change soon, I can tell you that. But nonetheless, how about this right here to finish up this topic? Some of you are, the actor is the basic name for a person who lives their life on the stage or behind the movie screen, behind the camera. But then you have the actress. So it's the 38. And then you get into this right here called The Manchurian Candidate. This movie came out in 1962 starring Frank Sinatra. It was all about mind control. And then it was remade in 2004 starring Denzel Washington and Liev Schreiber. Great movie. Mind control. This is right off the movie. I didn't make this. This is off the graphic that they made. It was the Queen controlling man or woman. And it's the 38th card in the deck. Actor or actress. Run it. It's the Queen, and Q is the 17th letter. Going right back to the actor. Going back right back to Matrix and the word life. This is, if those of you that follow that ridiculous Q movement, well, what is Q? 17. It's Matrix. It's life. It's the illusion. It's all a bunch of bullshit. So if you just disconnect from that, your life will become better, I promise you. So when we break down the Manchurian Candidate, to finish this topic out of the actor, the Manchurian Candidate is 75. Manchurian is 30. What kind of candidate is it? Manchurian's 33. They called it the Red Queen in this movie. 33. 33. And the word king and queen the word king equals 11. But nonetheless, the big takeaway was linking it back to Lucifer the Lightbringer. What is Lucifer's job? To deliver the movie to the world. 75 in its fullest expression, Manchurian Candidate. And then, how I know that Lucifer is the Lightbringer, because it's tied to this element called rhenium. Rhenium has got an average weight of 186, and we're told light travels around 186,000 miles per second in a vacuum. There's the connection. Undeniable. Lucifer is the Lightbringer. That's why he's tied to light. Where you go from there, folks, well, that's completely up to you. But anyway, let's get into the third topic now, called playing God. Is this what it comes down to? Are we just playing out God? Is God playing us? If you study a lot of the ancient texts, Hinduism, and we're all incarnations of God. Everything. It plays out everybody. Probably gets bored. Been through millions and countless games. That's why suffering's a lot. It's not even real. But anyway, starting off again with this slide, contract. Do we have a contract? Do we have a contract with God? And the 59 is the 17th prime number. So I'm going to highlight this now. Praseodymium and chlorine. So let's bring these on to the world stage right now and break this down. This was a big find, folks. Praseodymium and chlorine. Notice that they're both the same color. This one means green twin. This one is coming from chloros, meaning greenish color. They're both around the same color spectrum. This is not by accident. That's why I know this right here is a big deal, this combination. Right here. It's a very, very big combination. It's going to be, 59 and 17 is 76, which is Osmium, the Wizard of Oz. But the 59's tied to the game of life and the contract with God. So this is the starting point to come down here to play this game out. And it looks a hell of a lot like pi, doesn't it? It's just bridged at the bottom. This is the sign of Gemini. I've shown that Gemini may just be this is the prison bars. I showed it in my prison planet decoded. The third house of astrology across the way is the ninth house, ruled by Jupiter, which is the house of Abraxas and perhaps the demigod. But these two are very interesting, these two elements. So when I, bring them together here, and we look at the discovered by, you have, not only do you have two Carls, which is interesting, but I wanted to decode the last name. See, your last name, if you're a numerologist and you're decoding yourself, you should separate your last name. And you can do your mother's maiden name or her knee name as well and bring that together. Maybe showing that in my course coming out. But the last name is something that you inherited. How far back it goes, thousands of years maybe, who knows? Started somewhere. But it's very unique, your last name. So I decided to do the numerology of these two guys who discovered these elements linked to the contract with God in the game of life. Look at what they equal. The 57, which is a match to the Truman Show. Which is why I got Jim Carrey here. You know, the funniest thing I thought out of this entire right here is Jim Carrey, the great actor that he was. He's got the JC, the Jesus Christ, but in the movie Yes Man, which just means Jesus Man, the name they gave him was Carl. And it's Carl that discovered this element, Carl that discovered this element. And this guy's name was Carl and the Yes Man. Folks, we're living in the Truman Show. If you haven't figured that out by now, you're inside of a movie, okay? That's what you're in. So I just thought that was just really funny. And, you know, here's Christoph, played by Ed Harris, of course, a big star in Westworld. You know, and him being on the moon, maybe how he got here, the portal, controlling the Truman Show. And, you know, when you bring it into alchemy, you get this 57 and the lanthanum, and, you know, this element right here means to lie hidden, by the way. Okay, and now you get into Jason from Archaics and, you know, his version of the Phoenix every 138 years, to lie hidden every 138 years. And then the Royal Society of Chemistry, this is the icon they chose for the representation of lanthanum. It was this movie, this lens, and we're talking about the Truman Show now, folks. Come on. I mean, doesn't get any more crystal clear than this. The Truman Show is 57, lanthanum is the 57th element, and this is the icon they chose. A lens from a camera. I mean, are these guys trying to mock you? Are they best friends with the people that created the Truman Show? Come on, folks. We got to use logic and discernment. I can agree that some people become consciously aware of this stuff, but not at the layers I'm showing you. Everybody would have to be in on the conspiracy. All these players on sports and religion, and it's just way too complicated. But anyway, how about this? The number they have on the lens, 1633055. I mean, it's made in Japan, the land of the rising sun. We're all sons of God. So if I decided to, this is one way you can do numerology. You just, or decode, you can just write out the words. And here's the comedy. It's 129. Here's the most abundant weight of tellurium. Its average is 127. The most abundant is 129. There it is, folks. It's the Truman Show. It means Earth. You see, it's the all-seeing eye watching Earth. It's watching the Truman Show. This is what this all means, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't get any more crystal clear. We're living in a scripted reality. Everybody's just doing their job. Everybody's just playing their parts. What about breaking down the numerology of praseodymium and chlorine? Could have did it the Greek way as well, but it's the 77, and the 77 is going to lead to this element right here, iridium. How big of a clue this is? Iridium is tied to the Greek goddess of the rainbow. We're humans, human beings with the colors of the rainbow. That's why you have the colors of the chakras. And then it's the Iris, the Greek goddess of the rainbow, Iris. There's the dragon, the great dragon got hurled down. What about the iris? Well, it's tied to the iris of our eye. And this right here, you're going to have the crown of thorns, as I showed in my illumination decoded. All of you are going to have a crown of thorns in here, a zigzag motion. It's the Jesus Christ crown. We are all the Christ. Here's your black suns, your little devils. And the iris is all the way around. The 12 apostles sit right here. The 12 zodiac signs sit right here. This is astrology. That's why the astrology wheel is round. But it's all about the hue, man. Phonetically, you can spell hue without or with the E. But since hue means color, I thought this was very fitting. Hue being 16, light being 16. And then, since we are light, the iris and the rainbow, this is what this all means. 26 being the Yod He Vav He, 26 being tied to Adam and Eve, the atoms and the electrons, 26 being tied to iron in our blood. But it doesn't get any more crystal clear with the human being experience. Yeah, it's light slowed down into physical matter. There you get your fallen angel story. And then if you do the alchemy of this, hue and man, 16 and 10, it's sulfur and neon. And, neon, what is neon? Neon colors. We get back to light, the colors of the rainbow. I love neon. Neon's average weight is 20. The word duality equals 20. The word pawn equals 20. The word mason equals 20. The word Jesuit equals 20. Folks, these people don't get hall passes. Okay? They do not get hall passes. They are being used to play out their script. You may not like their script, but they're just being used like me and you and everybody else. Just along for the ride. And then 32 is the average weight of sulfur. 32 is the degrees at which water freezes, indicating that we live in hell. The word hell equals 16. I mean, it just keeps going on, but when you add these two up right here, sulfur and neon, 32 plus 20 is 52, and we go right back to tellurium. Right there. So the human experience is on Earth. It's all about light slowing down to become physical matter, and then we just end up living out the Truman Show. And you're on television. You're on television, folks. And it's the contract with God, the game of life, becoming the actor or actress with the 59 and 17 right there. You can't miss it, folks. This is what we all are. Some people are they're not even acting. They're just extras in somebody else's movie. You can really take your power back, but this is all part of the scripted reality right here, ladies and gentlemen. And then it's all about this last slide for this topic. And is this just what's going on? Are we just being role played? I mean, scripted equals 30, role play equals 30. Demiurge equals 30. Perhaps running the role playing. Are we just a puppet on strings? And then, here's this zinc element. Zinc equals 16. Hell equals 16. 16th element is sulfur. Sulfur is tied to the word light. The light bringer. That's how I break all this stuff down, tied to human. Are we just being role played? I think so. The word game equals 13. Play equals 13. So is this something, is there energies controlling us above that have a remote control and they're just playing us? When you grab a remote control, those of you that are fans of video games and you grab you have to press the buttons and move to start navigating through the game. Otherwise the game doesn't work. Well, why is it so far-fetched to think that we're not being controlled? Because then you would have to not be in control. And you wouldn't have that. No, there's no way I'm in control of my life. Sure. Well, how are you to go against what I'm showing you here? Unless you're not a believer of the numbers and symbols and tarot cards and words and math and pi and phi and prime numbers. And anyway, let's get into the last topic. Oh no, the second to last topic now. New York. Why New York? Well, this event happened, as I showed earlier. But what I wanted to point out, and this is something I give credit to Jason from Archaics and Jordan from. So let me just show all of you the podcast to go to Archaics channel. And the last podcast him and Jordan from What is Above Crypto did was this one right here, the Gnosis Predictive Analytics and the Coming Events. You click on that and there's these two talking about it. And this is where I got this from. So big shout out to these two guys, Jordan and Jason from Archaics. But they were talking about, Jason was talking about this event happening in 1945. I wasn't even aware of this, but Jason being, a fan of chronology and history, he said, in 1945, there was an airplane that crashed into the Empire State Building, and the Empire State Building at this time in history was the tallest building. It was the tallest building until the World Trade Center came into play. But in 1945, a plane crash. You should go read about this, and it was due to fog. It was a military plane, a B-52 or something like that, and it crashed in and there weren't as many casualties, obviously. But the big takeaway was it being connected to this in history, this event. And the biggest takeaway of this, folks, to show you we live in a scripted reality, is this right here. Is the years in between. 56 years, folks. 56 years. And the movie starts over again. That's why, and Jason from Archaics, I'm going to be doing another podcast with him. I'm going to be talking a lot about the history repeating itself. Because that's how this reality, that's why history does repeat itself. Because we're following a script. We're following a script. Okay, and this is pretty crystal clear, and then you get into these elements again, the 56 and 57. And, I wanted to show the lanthanum and barium together because they both share this 138, and 56 and 57 is 113, which is the 30th prime number, which is tied to the word role play, demiurge, all that stuff. So these two elements are heavily invested in this reality that is scripted. These two, barium and lanthanum. Numbers, they come and they join together. 56 and 57 is the 113. Just so we can be crystal clear on this right here. If you take 56 and 57 and you add it up, you're going to get this number right here, 113, which is the 30th prime number. And what is that 30? Role play. Demiurge. Scripted. That's all this is scripted is 30. This is all part of the script, ladies and gentlemen. We just carry out the blueprints. So this is a pretty big slide right here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is kind of going out of context, but history repeats itself. 75. What is 75 tied to? Lucifer. What is Lucifer? The light bringer. Without the light, you got no simulation. You got no movie. And this is the anomaly I found in, if you want to pause this and check it out. If not, that's fine too, but this is the anomaly I found in Pi. Just these three numbers, 75, 93, and 39. 333, it's the recycle symbol. All ties to the recycling. Recycle, doing the cycle over, And the dragon gets hurled down. That's the sine and cosine wave. That's electromagnetism. That's what this means right here. So to finish up this presentation, I'm going to bring some astrology into this. If you're not a fan of this, maybe you could just fast forward to the end. But if you're a fan of astrology, I'm going to show you how scripted this reality is through the layers of astrology. What I have are two charts. This is the Vedic chart. I will be showing the Western tropical. It does not matter which system that you use. You will find the truth bombs in them as well. Can you predict the future with astrology? Yep, you sure can. But you got to be really good at it, and it's hit or miss because there are so many moving parts to this. Can't just rely on it alone. But what we have two charts. This one right here is from 1945. This one right here is from 2001. Again, showing these two events right here. So 1945, 2001. And what you're going to notice, let me start here in 1945. I'm going to zoom in. Whoops. And what I want to show you is in the Vedic, the beautiful part of the Vedic, which I'm a huge fan of, is it's not just looking at the zodiac signs, but also what are called nakshakras, which are the 27 lunar mansions that go inside these 12 zodiac signs. They're kind of like micromanagers, if you will. And these give another detailed layer far beyond just the zodiac signs and the houses they're in. But what I found here was pretty astounding. 1945, when that plane crashed, this right here is Rahu. This little symbol is Rahu, otherwise known as the dragon's head. And the dragon's head and the north node and south node, Rahu and Ketu, have a very big, if not the biggest say on how this reality gets played out. And this Rahu was in the sign of Gemini when this plane crashed in 1945, in the sixth one called Ardra. And then down here where Ketu is, it's in the sign of Sagittarius and Purva, number 20, in the fourth house. So you have house number 4 and house number 10. This is the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn. Capricorn's 10, Cancer is 4. Even though Sagittarius is there and and Gemini's here, this is out of sync, by the way, the wheel, so don't mind that little error I had there. But then you got Saturn right next door. These are, and this is in Gemini now. Now, the big takeaway is you come over here to the 2001 event that over 3,000 people lost their lives, and look at where Rahu is. It's in the same nakshatra, Ardra. And Gemini, the two twins representing the two towers. The big takeaways for this chart: you have Jupiter, which I feel is the house of Abraxas. And you got the moon there. You got Saturn there. But the big takeaway is you come down here where the starting point of it all is, the dragon's tail, where the Kundalini rises up. You have Ketu here in this nakshatra called Mula, number 19. And Mula is the root. It's ripping out roots and recreating them. Ripping out roots and recreating them. Destroying roots and replanting them. Where the starting point of the Kundalini rises, you got Mars right there. Here's the Mars and Ketu right here together, nearly on top of one another. The god of war with Ketu in this nakshatra, which means the replanting and uprooting. That's what this Mula energy is. And you got Pluto there. Pluto's across the way from Saturn. But this Ketu and Mars giving its energy to this right here, this Ardra. And what does this Ardra mean? Oops. It's from this deity Rudra, which means demolition, destruction, discarding objects and habits, the howling god of the destructive storms and thunder. The favorable things to do with this energy: demolition, destruction, discarding objects and habits. And these two events that happened 56 years apart from one another, tied to the simulation, the scripted reality, are heavily invested in Rahu and Ketu. This energy right here. This is undeniable if you're an astrologer and you read charts. What about looking at the Western? Here it is, the Western now. The Western has a little bit of a different say because it's going to be a little bit more forward. But you have Pluto right here. You have Pluto opposite of Saturn in Gemini. You have Saturn in Gemini here. And Pluto is the god of destruction, and it's, basically squaring Saturn right there. And then you have Mars squaring the moon. And these are both in Gemini, which is representing the two twins, which is representing the two towers. This is the chart at 8:46 a.m. when this event happened. And the North Node is in the sign of Cancer, which is tied to the moon. The moon's right there. And you get Jupiter, the house of Abraxas, right there. This is a very big indicator using tropical astrology of why this event took place. And again, it's the 3rd and 9th house. Okay? Sagittarius, Gemini. And Jupiter runs Sagittarius. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. You had Mercury at the rising sign over here in the Western. There's a lot of layers to look at that, but these are the heavy hitters right here in the scripted reality. If you're a fan of astrology, folks, undeniable, using Vedic versus tropical. It doesn't matter which one you use, they're going to tell their stories and all this kind of stuff right here. So to end this, I have a few slides left, but I want to give a big shout out to, I don't even know if he'll even be watching this, but this guy, Bob Miser on Facebook, also Sheena. If you're watching this, thank you for introducing me to his post. He had posted something on September 11th, and it was including this, magazine right here called The New Yorker. I mean, this came out in 1993. Whoops. This came out in 1993, and look at the picture of this, folks. Predictive, scripted reality. Now, obviously, they knew that it was coming down, but are their minds their own in this scripted reality? There's so many ways to look at this. The temperature here, oh man. The temperature here on the thermometer, just right at it's either 101.5 or 102. I think it's 102. 102 is going to be tied to the 45th element, rhodium, in Pandora's box. If you've been paying attention, July 26th. Remember that 26th? What was the card tied to that day on the calendar in September 11th? The 26th. 26 is tied to the Yod He Vah He. Folks, you can't miss these things now that you see them. The card game, the Illuminati card game, had this card. Many people know this, but did you know this? This is why I'm getting into my last topic. Sesame Street. This supersedes all of it because this magazine showing 1976, 76 being tied to Osmium, the Wizard of Oz. Again, 60 cents. There's so many clues in this. 60 cents being tied to Feed the Wolf, tied to neodymium. But I mean, did those that create this artwork, this is 1976 now. The World Trade Center was built it opened in 1973, April 4th. 3.5 years later, this magazine comes out with this on the cover. I mean, who created this? Did they know about what was going to transpire? I don't know. Now, a lot of you say, yeah, of course they knew. Maybe. We can't prove that. But what we can do is break down Sesame Street to show you some scripting of the reality with Sesame Street. So let's just show you, to end this transmission, my few slides on this, show you how ridiculously scripted this show. I used to watch this show as a kid growing up a little bit, I was born in 1973. But this came out in 1969, the same year that the moon landing. Remember the moon landing in 1969, July 20th? 20's tied to duality. It's just so funny. But anyway, 1969 is when this came out. It premiered on PBS, Public Broadcasting System, on November 10th. And look at what November 10th is on the world stage. It's not just any day, it's the 314th day of the year. It's a day attributed to pi. It's in the sign of Scorpio, in the Western. Here's the card of illumination that's tied to November 10th. It's the 23rd card in the deck. It's the 10 clubs card. 23 is tied to the Royal Star of the Lion, tied to Yaldabaoth. And then when you do the tarot, that's linked to the 23rd card in the deck. The 10 clubs, it's the 10 of wands. It's the 32nd card in the deck, 31 and 32. 32nd card in the deck. And this is very interesting because these are the two people right here that are responsible for creating Sesame Street, Joan and Lloyd. And look at what their birthdays are. She was born on November 30th. He was born on November 2nd. What's 30 plus 2? 32. And this aired on the day that was associated with the 32nd card in the tarot. And this card, if you know what this means, this is like taking the world upon your shoulders, But it's interesting because it opened in Scorpio. And then, Joan, who was the founder, the thinker about this, she was born in Phoenix. And the Phoenix is the eagle, which is Scorpio. Just the subtleties, right? They were both born in the month of November. They're born just 28 days apart. 28 is tied to Lucifer, architect, etc., etc. Both born in 1929. 29 is tied to Yaldabaoth. All tied together. But the big takeaway here is their birth cards. Joan having the 3 of hearts, Lloyd having the 5 of diamonds. Lloyd was born first, so I just put him over here. The 53, if you bring that together, we get the iodine again. We get the iodine again, the 5 and the 3. So these people literally created something for kids. If you go read the story about this, they wanted to do something for the kids. This lady worked for the State Department. It's really interesting, the story, but they wanted to create something to help kids and educate kids. And, is this all programming? Well, of course it was. What kind of programming? I don't know. But obviously you can see their minds were not their own. If you're looking at it from the way my platform is, my methodology, it's once again tied to the iodine. And if you flip them and you go 35, it's going to be tied to the word simulation and tied to the element bromine. So, this lady created it. This guy came on board, but he was born first. So no matter which way you do it, 53 or 35, bromine, iodine. And then when you take their names and you do the numerology of it, here's the ending of this ridiculously scripted reality we live in. Joan Gans and Lloyd Morissette. When you do the numerology, it's 88. What do you get when you take 53 and you add 35? You get 88, folks. You see, this is an entire scripted reality. They're not trying to mock you, screw you over. They're doing their jobs. They created a show called Sesame Street to educate kids. And I'm not saying everything in Sesame Street was hunky-dory and beautiful, but ladies and gentlemen, what are you to make of this kind of stuff? How do you describe this? Do you think they're sitting down with all these layers? alchemy and the cards and numerology before they created Sesame Street? Now, you got to be the judge of that. These people, to me, are being used to create this show. Woo! All right, that was a long one, ladies and gentlemen, but thanks for sticking with me. Those of you that made it to the end here, give me a shout out in the comment section. Let me know you made it till the end. Say, hey, I made it till the end. Just maybe get a little bit of a poll going here, because the analytics, 15%, 14%. That's it. So, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, would love to hear what you saw during this presentation. A lot of information. I think it's pretty crystal clear. In my opinion, we live in a scripted reality, a blueprint. Everybody's following their blueprint, their job. This reality is, we're in the Kali Yuga, we're in the Dark Age, so of course things can get a little dicey and hairy, but what if the game changes as we go back to the Golden Age? Would you come back and do it all over again if you had that opportunity? But nonetheless, would love to hear what you saw during this presentation. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Just keep them cordial. Don't be a ding-dong or don't leave negative comments about this or that. Just try to, what can you contribute to this? Right? I'm not in a debate. I'm not looking to debate or get any conflicts or compare. This is my research. These are my opinions and beliefs. Love to hear what you saw, though. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. Till next time, we will see you later.